Got to start this day off in a very exciting way. I got to unpack the pick and build boxes that I packed the other day at the LEGO store. In there I've got a whole bunch of 4x4 green plate, which I'm going to need. Also, I filled the gaps with the 1x2 green slopes, also some 2x2 bricks, and then there's also some 2x4 plates in there as well. Grand total, I can fit 186 4x4 green plates in the box along with all those other things. $22 a box, 186 plates. That's under 12 cents Canadian per plate, which is a really good value. So I'm pretty happy with the outcome of that because of course I'm gonna need a bunch of those 4x4 green plates for the LEGO City. So today I'm gonna start working on the harbor and also the train yard. This is gonna require a lot of pieces, specifically light bluish gray bricks. That's what I'm doing around the border. And I wanna raise this up 3 bricks. And I want to top it with plates. I was thinking the best way to top this would probably be 16 by 16 plates with the studs, but I don't have a whole lot of those right now. So I'm actually going to be topping it with road plates because I have a lot of road plate packs and a lot of 60 by 60 road plates that I'm not currently using. So you can see me constructing the first plate there, just raising up those road plates 3 bricks. Now I also want to work on some of the train track as well. I may as well try and get something going here with the train track before I get too far ahead of myself with the boatyard. I want to inset a couple tracks right into those giant mills plates that I'm going to build. So I've got a straight shot there with the ballast track, and I'm going to raise up a 16 by 16 plate section on the right side of that 48 by 48 plate, and then I'm going to inset one so it's only 1 brick off the plate, whereas the other ones once again are 3 bricks off the plate. In order to do that, I've got to make sure it has a nice border. I'm specifically using light bluish gray because I don't have a whole lot of dark bluish gray brick right now, but I think it looks pretty good. 2 plates down and a bunch more to go, starting with the light bluish gray edge. Now when I build mills plates, I actually use 1x2s around the edge because why would I use 2x2s? They cost more and I only have a limited amount of them. So you can see I use 2x2 bricks there, and then I put the light gray edge on, and then I'm able to inset that one so it's 1 brick off the ground, and that matches up with the other plate there. And you can see that the train track will actually be inset, which I think is going to be pretty cool when I start building the surrounding area with cranes and stuff like that. It's going to be neat to have that train track sunk into the ground. Now I also want to work on some of the actual boat parking spaces in the ocean there. So I'm creating these jute outs, I'm going to call them, that are 16 studs wide, and they just go out so that I can park a boat up next to the harbor. It's just going to give us more space to add really cool activities and different scenes throughout the harbor. Now I'm building these on their own separate base plates, so they're all modular, just like the other ones there, like those big 48 by 48s. Those can all very easily be moved around and also tacked together using tiles. You see there's a bunch of spots open there for tiles. I've built 2 of those little jute outs so far, and I'm going to build a 3rd. I could make the water space in there wider so that you can actually park 2 boats side by side. But for now, I'm just doing 24 studs as it works with the widest boat. And the width of those parking spots could very easily change in the future. These are very modular. I can very easily peel them off the plate and move them around. Even if I wanted to have some with different widths, I could definitely do that as well. So I just finished building the last jute out there, and now I'm going to start working on this plate here. This one is going to have 16 studs at 3 bricks tall, and then the other plates are going to be at the 1 brick tall, matching a standard mills plate plus a tile. And I did that because you'll see that there's some train track switches there, and I just want to make sure that those switches can glide nice and smoothly into the train yard. After that, I mess around with some track, just trying to figure out what my layout is going to be for this track. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of straight track, so I'm using some of the odd miscellaneous stuff. Switching back over here, I decided I'm going to rip apart the first thing that we built, and that's because I want to add 16 more studs to that lower train track section. So there's 32 studs of the raised section, which is 3 bricks, and then I added 16 studs to that 48 by 48 plate. And now I'm starting to work on the second line, which will also be inset into the mills plate as well. Just got to make sure I get that light bluish gray border because you don't want to see all that color. And I'm just messing around with all the brickwork to make sure that that border looks consistent. You know, I've wanted to build a detailed train yard slash harbor for quite some time. I've built a couple in the past, well, actually more than a couple, but I've never really done it in a really detailed way. Luckily for me, there's all those open studs on these plates. So I can fill those in with tiles, or I can fill them in with plates so that we can add colorful things and just like fun activities. Well, maybe not fun, but working laborious activities to this area, and there's going to be all those studs that I can use in the future. I'm building one of the last plates here, so more road plates. You can see that I cracked open a bunch of road plate packs in order to finish this, and I also had some train track packs as well, so I'm able to extract some more road plates and also some straight tracks. Gonna need a lot more straight track. Luckily, I ordered, I think, 400 of them during double points, and there's a good GWP on right now, so if I need to order some more parts, I can definitely do that. Working on the final 2 plates there, well, the final 2 plates in like the train yard / harbor area, and I'm gonna just create a standard 48 by 48 mills plate with the road on top, and that's actually just at the regular height with 1 brick. And then I'm going to do 1 more, but this time I'm only going to do 32 studs of the dark gray. And then the other 16 studs is going to be that green color from the pick and build boxes that we had earlier. And that's just going to blend in better with the countryside there. Placing that little crane on there looks pretty cool, but I want to work on this area as well. So get that train garage moved and then start to work on these mills plates over here. I don't think I'm going to do any more of the dark bluish gray. I know it's a lot of gray, but we can, once again, spiffy that up with all of those exposed studs there. But these ones here, I'm actually going to use light gray 16 by 16 plates. I had just enough of them to do like, I think it was 3 and a bit of the 48 by 48 plates. So just building those as standard mills plates, and that's going to get us at the right height so it matches up with those road plate plates. A lot of these are covered in tiles and studs. They were from the amusement park or from other train layouts, so I had to shed all the tiles off of those so that I could reallocate those parts to the train yard. Originally, I thought I was going to reuse a bunch of this work here because, like, of course, I laid all that stuff, but it just turns out that I'm not going to be able to reuse it because those were just like so specific for the old layout, so I'm going to have to just take all that stuff off and then lay them down here in the train yard. I've gone through a mountain of parts today. It is just wild how many parts mills plates take, but I'm glad that I had the large 16 by 16 plates because you don't have to use as much underlying brick when you're using the larger plates. So the harbor and train yard were looking pretty good, but there's still like this water over here that needs to be figured out. So I'm shifting some of the blue base plates around, discovered that it would be best to put a 48 by 48 plate in there. And then I'm starting to lay some dark bluish gray plate. And the reason I'm laying the dark bluish gray plate is because that is going to represent where the rock work is going to go. So I'm thinking about building like a cove. It's almost going to be like a human-made cove that's going to make the beach water less intense. It's going to be like wave break cove sort of, and it's also going to separate the boatyard from the beach, which I think is important. So it starts there at the old fishing store, and it's going to wrap around toward the lighthouse. And I think I like that U shape, and I think once I actually start to add rocks there rather than just plate, it's going to look pretty snazzy. So this is one of my older mocks of a train garage. It definitely needs to be reworked, but I think it's pretty cool, and I think I'll rebuild it, just give it a little bit more detail, and it'll stay here in the train yard. I've got one train track that sort of branches off here and turns into the train garage. That might be the final position of it. Who knows? Things could change, right? I like these lines right here because they're at like that nice angle, and once we actually park some rolling stock on there, that looked pretty cool. Also, all the train track has to be treated like I want to ballast it all, but just the time of doing that and the parts to do that, it's a lot, so just one thing at a time here. But yeah, you can see how I mills plated all this with these 16 by 16 plates, and I almost had enough to get it like all done, but then I ran out of parts. I want to get like this done here, and then I'll green plate in here, and then I'll like transition, because of course all of this is just exposed stud here, so I can do the ballasting underneath, so I can tile it all off and put the plate on the side and add the gravel and add some grass detail and add some stuff on all of these studs. But it's just good to have the foundation going here. And there are so many studs available here. It looks a little bit ridiculous right now, but I need to determine where I want to put structures and stuff, because for example, if I'm going to put a structure here, well, then I just put some 2x4 plates in and I'd build a structure that's modular and pop it on there, and I could do that all over the place. We could also build, you know, overhead cranes and all these different things that you would find in a train yard and start popping them on to these things. But like I was mentioning about the width of these, this could very easily change because I could just literally just peel this off and move that wherever. So for example, if I wanted this to be wider so that I could put this friend's boat beside this Coast Guard ship and I could have 2 of them there, I could very easily do that. Just eliminate one of these and then just spread them out accordingly. I think this rock work is going to be really cool. It starts over here by the old fishing store and it's going to wrap around in that pattern and it just creates like a nice cove here. So we've got like some nice calm water for the beach and it sort of separates the beach from the industrial harbor over here, and it's going to match the feel of the lighthouse as well. So I really do like the idea of the rock work, and the seawall right here will just sort of blend in with that rock work when I get around to doing that. The train yard is pretty neat. I like how I was able to sink these down. So there's the 2 bricks of height difference there. I think that's pretty cool. And what I could do is when I get this train track going here, I can of course ballast this right in there, and then I'll just tack down to some of the studs that I'll put within the available space there. And then I can have some more overhead cranes, and I could actually move this crane here, and it doesn't have to necessarily be raised up on its own thing. I can just take the tracks, I've got other parts like this, and just build it right into the road plates. So even though these are road plates, I think they're great for providing some structure and also just providing a surface that we can build a boatyard on. And I'm pretty excited about it. I think this is off to a great start. I would like to add some more detail to these seawalls right here. It is rather boring, just light bluish gray and dark bluish gray. It would be nice to add some detail like this here, things like these. In the past, I actually used, I think, Technic bricks, and I put the Technic pins in, and I had black bumpers going around the entire wall. That did look pretty cool. It sort of broke up that light bluish gray, dark bluish gray color, so I could do that as well. I just need to decide how many snot bricks I'm gonna need to do that, because to put the bumpers like I used to have, whether they be light gray or dark gray or black or whatever it may be, around the whole thing, or even if they're wood bumpers like reddish brown or dark brown, I need to get a lot of snot bricks and put them all in there so that I can string these tiles all the way along. And that might look pretty cool, and it's something that I could reintroduce into this as well, but I just wanted to get some structure going so that I could actually start to visualize what this area is going to look like, so I can start framing in my seawall, and I can start using some dark bluish gray brick and put that on top of the plate and start building this rock wall and all that. And the reason I want to lay the plate first is because then when I do the water tile, well, it's actually going to be at the same height. Whereas if I started putting down slopes right away, well then when you do the plate for the water and a tile, it actually becomes taller than the slope. You can see I did the exact same thing here. If I were to remove this, you'll see that the slope goes right on top of the plate. So that's why I decided to lay the dark bluish gray plate first. That's a lot of green plate. I barely touched it today. I was more so using dark and light gray, but eventually I'll be using that. And a lot of that green plate is going to get used probably on that side of the train track there. I'll probably have to put some sort of parking lot for the zoo, but then I'll need to figure out how the road is going to connect. I've got a road that ends there, and I also have a road that ends here. So this road will probably have to lead this way and go up there. So there'll be some sort of ramp so that workers of the harbor can actually access the harbor and the train yard and go to work. And then there'll probably have to be a gravel road of sorts that probably breaks out and goes that way into the countryside, and another access point for the train yard over here as well. And then once I get this all mills plated here and we get all this train track detailed and actually start adding all of the cool details throughout here, I'll have to build some sort of fence that will fence off the entire train yard as well, because I don't think this would just be open. I think it should be fenced off. And then I've got to work on the water detail as well. So I do have a lot of space here for a lot of water. So this is all just open space, 32 studs of water all the way up to the lighthouse and continuing over here. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do with this water is, of course, plate it all off with the dark blue and black, and then I'm going to use the dark trans blue tiles that I have in my collection over here. along with some of the dark trans blue cheese slopes. And what I'd like to do with the open space here is first off find this helicopter's propellers, because that doesn't look good. But what I can do is take sets like this and can actually put them in an action pose. So for example, have the helicopter like that and then create water gushing out the side and actually start to create stories and details within this water rather than just having the boat sitting there like that. Maybe I could somehow get this up at an angle, you know, and put some cheese slopes and some slopes around the bottom of it so it's somewhat submerged in the deeper portions of the water, and then sort of have like a spray of water coming out the end. So try to create stories using this space and also the different boats in this area, and also helicopter with no blades. And then of course this all needs to be plated off here and tiled as well. But I think there's a lot of opportunity for creating unique stories within all of this water space that we have, rather than just having empty water. I think it's going to be important to actually tell a story with Lego and Lego sets and minifigures and everything like that throughout this entire area, that being in the train yard, in the countryside, in the zoo, on the beach, in the water, on the raised areas here, and just sort of everywhere. It's important to do that. I've been really good with telling stories all throughout my city, whether it be on the beach, in the Lego City downtown and amusement park and countryside and medieval area and all that. And I'm really excited about building the stories and developing this area. I think we're off to a great start today with the structure. That took a long time and a ton of parts. I've definitely got to sleep on it. I'm pretty happy with the layout. But I think when I continue, I'll probably start to develop some of this rock work here and just start mills plating some more stuff with all of this green plate and everything, just trying to get the structure down. The problem is I'm running low on 2x2 bricks. This is all I have right here. That's not going to get me far at all. So I'm going to have to start seeking out some more 2x2 bricks as well. The part constraints and the fight for parts is going to be quite the endeavor here when it comes to this new Lego City layout, just because it's so massive and part intensive. I have been mentioning that I wanted to work on an order for parts that would exceed 100,000 parts, and I am working on that. But it looks like the logistics of that, some behind the scenes stuff, that won't be taking place until maybe into the fall. So I'm going to have to place some supplementary orders to get the parts and pieces that I require to continue working on the city at a smaller scale until that time. But yeah, every day is a ton of fun in here. Really happy that I was able to start this project today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for some more great stuff coming out in the near future. As always, farewell.